Yo, what's up YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here, back again for another video. We gotta talk about this coppa thing. Alright, so some of you have probably already heard about it. I'm sure there's been a ton of videos out on it already. Basically, it was YouTube getting caught for capturing data on underage children, and so now the FTC has flagged them for it. They decided to settle out of court for the sum of $175 million. That's a lot of money. But in addition to that, we as YouTubers, we have to comply to a few rules that YouTube has set out. And some of those we had to comply by December 10th. That deadline has already passed, but we are coming up on the first official day of YouTube under coppa, which is January 1st. And a lot of YouTubers are worried that their channels may disappear altogether, and with good reason. They came out with a big set of rules and legal jargon and left it to us, the majority of which are not lawyers or legal professionals to decipher. But if I had to wager whether or not my channel was in trouble, I think that as a gaming channel and primarily a retro video game channel, I think that I might be okay, and my defense consists of 4 letters. So let's talk about it. Alright, so the 4 letters that I'm talking about is ESRB. For those of you who don't know what ESRB is, that is the rating system set forth by the government and the video game industry back in the early 90s to basically stipulate the content that would be in the video games and to kind of give parents and consumers an age range about the content that would be in the video games. And I think that this is a very intriguing and significant event that happened, considering the fact that the coppa thing went down in 1998. So to give you further clarification, in 1998 they basically said that with the advent of the internet, that companies had to watch out how it exploited children on said internet, and they describe a child as anything 13 years or younger. So 13 years or younger, you're considered a child, as I knock this stuff over. But that's alright, I'm in the middle of cleaning. It's all good. So I can do this frame right here. Let's talk right here. So 13 under, child. Everything else 14 and up is apparently okay. But interestingly enough to me, I feel like that as a retro video game channel, the prime majority of things that I play are rated T and over. So that would be right on the threshold of 13 to 17. And then of course, well, 13 to 16. And then I play also a lot of mature rated games that go from 17 all the way to adult. Crazy thing about that is, what about the E-rated games? Well, in the early days of the ESRB, E actually meant kids to adults, KA. So for those old school, you might remember some of the Sega Genesis games and Super Nintendo games, even early PlayStation Saturn games that had the KA ranking, and that's what that meant. And so that got me thinking of another criteria that YouTube hasn't talked about. YouTube is forcing YouTubers to say either your content is for children or your content is for adults. But there is that gray area that is GA, or general audience. Kids to adult is the same thing as general audience. And I find it perplexing that they didn't give us the option to choose general audience as a rating, considering the fact that, I mean, if one thing that teaching has taught me in the last 2 years is that, hey, what do you know? Children are people, and because they are people, children are interested in a lot of the same things that adults are. Who knew? Things like video games, which have only been around in their current form for about 40 years or so. Hey, guess what? All those children that play video games in the 80s or 90s, hey, we're adults who play video games in the 2010s and soon to be 2020s. So, I mean, how do you differentiate that? Well, you don't. And I think that's unfair to just consider that something to be an interest of a kid. I would say that channels that focus more on, like, say, toys may face greater scrutiny. But then again, I know plenty of adults my age and some older who are avid collectors of toys. My cousin Keith, for instance, is about 10 years older than me and has the most fantastic set of Transformers figurines dating all the way back to 1985 that you'll ever see. Of course, he's in his mid to late 40s now, somewhere in that area. I should hit him up. We got to do a video about those Transformers. But anyway, there are plenty of adults that have interest in the same things that kids do and vice versa. So I don't know how they differentiate that. I think the biggest channels who are going to be in trouble are YouTube channels who specialize in early education. You know, like those type of videos you'd watch on Nick Jr. and Disney growing up. There's a lot of YouTube channels that focus on that in their channels, and they kind of host their own early childhood development show, or maybe they talk about things like homeschooling and that sort of thing. They are going to be under the most scrutiny. And you may be asking yourself, well, what's the problem? Like, if you have to register as a kid-friendly channel, well, as a kid-friendly channel, you can't monetize your videos. So that right there, for larger YouTube channels, that's basically 50% of their revenue out the window. If they don't do anything like affiliate marketing or product ambassadors or anything like that outside of YouTube, Patreon or anything like that, if they're going solely on AdSense revenue and YouTube traffic, if you can't monetize your videos, that's like 90% of your revenue out the window right there. You can't put comments in the videos, they can't be saved to playlists, things like that. And so that really puts a hurting on people's growth and what they want to do with their channel. I know me, as of right now, today I'm filming this, I'm at like 440 subscribers. That would be detrimental to me, someone who's trying to make their first 1,000. I need to be able to have comments and to be able to share my content and things like that, and would like to eventually get into monetization, God willing my channel gets that big. So that is a huge problem. And so that's all I got to say about that. That being said, I think that those channels are going to come under fire the most when it comes to that. I think for the most part, most of us will be okay as far as like the retro gaming community goes. I know a lot of us in that community had that fear, considering that children are also interested in video games. Me personally, I'm going to cite the ESRB as my defense, as the ESRB predates the coppa laws of 1998. The ESRB was established in 1993, so half a decade before that had become the law of the land. And in fact, if you go to the FTC website, and I'll try to post some because I took some screenshots on my phone. If you go to the website, the ESRB or the FTC cites the ESRB as a very valuable tool, and they laud their efforts and praise how effective they are. And so basically, according to the FTC website as of right now, the FTC is totally down with everything the ESRB has been able to do as far as policing the video game industry. So if I use that as my defense, I feel like that should be enough. Of course, time will tell, and as we get closer to 2020, January 1st, we will find out for sure. But that's pretty much all I got for you. This is just a quick video. I just wanted to give a word on coppa because I know that was something that was on a lot of people's minds. So let's talk about it in the comment section below. Questions, comments, concerns, threats. What do you guys think about the coppa rollout? Are you worried as far as what you do on your channel? You think it's going to be an issue that coppa and YouTube will have? Me personally, I hope that I will be okay in citing everything I said, and not to mention looking at my YouTube analytics was something else I did. I mean, like 100% of my viewership is like 18 to 24 range. So that's another thing too. The audience that actually tunes in and watches my channel are not kids. Now that being said, I know that there are kids who watch my channel, and there are kids who even subscribe, but they must be such a negligent amount of my small subscriber base that they don't show up in the analytics. So that's another thing that I think is going to work out for me, or at least I hope it works out for me. But let me know your Let me know your comments and concerns. Let's talk about it. If you do like this content, please hit me with a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out. Peace.